Welcome to the Build a Bear series, where instead of building soft toys, we are going to be building the archetypes that are found within Godforge. I'm going to give you a couple of examples from each archetype with some sort of different build strategies to help you boss Wave 3 and launch, depending on when you are watching this. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello everyone, Ragewood here, back with another Godforge video, and today we are building the final archetype, the Slayers. Now, this is a very easy one. A lot of the Slayers you're going to build in a very similar way. There are some differences with some of them requiring a bit of accuracy, so something to bear in mind, but the basic principles for the long and short of it are going to be the same. So how do we know who is a Slayer? Well, just like everything else, you go to your roster screen. We're looking for this skull and crossbones, essentially, or this image just here, okay? When you click it, it says they are Slayers, and their focus is dealing maximum destruction. And that is sort of how we're going to lean this build towards maximizing our damage. Now, like always, the first thing we're going to do is check the multipliers. So we're going to come to the abilities, we're going to click an ability, and then we're going to click details. And you will see very much the same across them all. They are scaling off of attack, so we want to get as much attack as we possibly can on a lot of these. Same again on this core ability, dealing attack damage, and the ult, once again, is attack damage. Now, if we look at some of the others, just to be sure, oh, look, attack. We have attack. And we have attack. So, yeah, very clear in what our aim is for these Slayers. Now, as I mentioned, in the likes of YGG and Hell, we do need some accuracy. When you're looking at the likes of Zeus, you don't need the accuracy, but you'll be surprised, actually, for an awful lot of them, it is something to consider. And so we got these two up here. Beowulf doesn't place any debuffs, but he does want some accuracy to do some strong hits. So then his basic attack is doing max HP damage. You've then also got the likes of Ramses, who's placing acid, Ra, who's placing blaze, Achilles is doing bleeds, and Jacques doing bleeds, and Guan, who you want to land the drain. So an awful lot of these surprisingly will require some accuracy. So something we're going to bear in mind. Now, I'll start with Zeus because he is easiest because we don't need to consider accuracy. And then we'll build out another one in a bit more detail to think about the choices that we're going to make. So I'm just going to throw the gear on Zeus just so you can see what it looks like. So this is our Zeus build. I had to just change a couple of little things around to get it finished up. But here he is in all his glory. So once again, you'll notice that I've very much gone for stats over sets, okay? These are not ideal sets on him. For example, I've got 2-piece shrine, which increases his healing, which is not what we want, okay? But we're trying to push out damage here, and this is what gives me the best result. So 4.6k attack, 94% crit rate, 294% crit damage. In an ideal world, this needs to be 100%. It's a cardinal sin to not be crit capped on your Slayers. So this is an example of what not to do. I think anything above 95% you can get away with. But for me, the drop-off for going for something else is just a little bit large. But essentially, we've got a crit rate on the helmet with attack percent accuracy. I could swap to this one to give us a 3 more accuracy, give us a bit more HP. Sorry, 3 more crit rate, more HP. But we're losing attack, which I don't like. But yes, always you want crit rate at the top here for your Slayers on your helmets. Your shoulders, you want crit damage. This is, again, pretty non-negotiable, I guess, in a way. You want crit damage, you want to get some attack percent, some crit rate, speed and initiative if you can. Obviously, there's no crit rate on here, so there's a large drop-off, which is why I'm not taking these. But yeah, crit damage all the way on your shoulders. Gloves is when you get a bit more flexibility. So you can either go crit rate or crit damage. If you're struggling to get the crit rate from your substats, then go for crit rate main here with crit damage subs. If actually you're pretty much there on the crit rate just from the substats, then go crit damage to obviously increase your damage, like I have done here. Now, these top 3 substats all here are hot garbage for what we're trying to do, but we did get a rather large crit rate roll, which is nice. So what we're going to do, actually, we're going to swap these gloves on him. There you go, editing the build live, giving us more crit rate, pushing our crit damage up a little bit as well. This is more like what we want with the initiative. Again, attack percentage would be great here, but that is the sort of glove we're going for. And as I say, if you need to go crit rate, just try and make sure you've got crit damage on there too. The chest is just attack percent with the stats that you want. So attack percent with crit rate, crit damage, and then some speed and maybe HP percentage, something like that. Legs, you've got one of 2 options here. You can go for speed or attack percent, but whichever one you go for here, you want to make sure you go for the opposite on your boot. So for this one, I've got attack percent on the legs with crit rate, crit damage, and just whatever. Again, speed, initiative would be great here instead of accuracy and defense, but we're taking what we've got. And then on the boots, I've gone for speed because I obviously have attack on the legs. So speed, again, with attack, crit damage. Again, if this was legendary that had crit rate, that would be fabulous. But yeah, a very simple damage build here for Zeus. I've gone for attack main with crit damage over here. Thunderbolt would also work very nice, but I don't have one leveled up to the same degree. So I would put Thunderbolt on here if this was leveled up higher. Right now, I just don't want to lose the attack or the crit damage. Mjolnir gives you attacks. So if you get one with crit damage, it's great. Just allow you to get your ult sooner. Bloodsword could also be good. And then Heka is the other option. Now, I don't have a crit damage Heka here, but if I did, I would strongly consider it. The reason for it is, again, you convert 10% of your max HP into attack. So even in this build that I've got here, heck, even if I went for HP, I'm losing 500 attack. I'm not having the solar flare, but I'm then gaining 2,500, right? So it's just wild. So a Heka with crit damage would be perfect for a lot of Slayers to increase this total that we've got here. World Splitter is also nice because it will give you crit rate as well. So you only need sort of 91% crit rate and you'll gain 9 from the World Splitter. Yeah, that is a basic Slayer that doesn't need accuracy. Now let's have a look at one that does. So we come to my boy Ramses here just because he's level 60 and at the top. Obviously, the same will apply if you've gone for Lady Shock and even Guan Yu because he needs to land that drain to get the max HP off. You can also apply this to YGG, Hell, what have you. Now, weapon-wise, because we want some accuracy and we want to increase our damage, I do think Heka is the best choice here. Obviously, if I had crit damage, as I mentioned earlier, would be perfect. But this is going to give us a massive attack gain, so you don't need the attack percent here. That's why crit damage I think would be fine. And it's giving us a large portion of the accuracy we need to consistently land our debuffs. Now, on the upper end of the caverns, 230 is around what you need to land like all the time. Obviously, there's no 3% in Godforge. But if you can get to 180, 190, you're going to be fine for the vast majority of it. And even on 151, you'll land more often than you won't, I think, up that level. So a good benchmark to aim for, sort of around 200 probably. And Heka helps us with that. So which is why we're picking Heka as our weapon to begin with. Now, when it comes to the build, it's going to be very, very similar, but we're going to want to consider accuracy as we go, right? So again, we want a crit rate helmet at the top here, like the one that we had earlier. It's got attack percent, which is great. It's got accuracy and it's got initiative, so that is lovely. Once again, crit damage pauldrons is what we're looking for. And if we can get some accuracy built in there somewhere, that'd be great. So these ones are okay. If we compare it to the other ones that we had, these ones are giving us accuracy and a bit more crit rate, even though we're losing speed and initiative. So tough one to call. I do like the crit rate, but we'll see. We might leave these ones on for now and then see if we can get some crit rate gloves with crit damage, or to see if we can get the crit rate without. Obviously, same gloves as we had before. Crit rate, initiative, and accuracy. There's no speed here, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. We could also obviously go for this one, but we're losing a little bit everywhere, so we don't want to do that. Attack percent chest once more. Again, if we can find one with accuracy, that would be fab. This one is nice. Again, we're losing attack here, but we're gaining accuracy as well as everything else. So in this instance, I might actually take the hit on the attack. We're gaining so much from the Heka, even as it stands now, 1800, that 300 we lost is going to be a drop in the ocean long term. Legs, once again, attack percent legs with some speed would be great. This is giving us a lot of crit rate, but we don't need that much. So we'll probably go for this one here, mainly because it's taking us over the crit cap and we're gaining some accuracy. So already our accuracy is looking very healthy. Now just some speed boots with some crit damage will see us through. These are very nice, gives us everything that we need. That one we don't care for. That's giving us a bit more crit damage, but 3 crit damage for the sake of the HP. No, I think this is our Ramses build. So as you can see, significantly less crit damage because we are, well, for 2 reasons. Because we don't have crit damage on the sword. Obviously, if we put the solar flare that was on him, we're going to gain 58, but we're losing the accuracy from the solar flare. So if I had a Heka with crit damage, that would be wonderful, because we could boost this up and keep our accuracy. And yeah, I do think for a lot of it, say especially these ones that need accuracy, Heka is still probably the best choice, just because it helps ease the rest of your build. And we would easily be over 250, even 275 perhaps, going for a crit damage Heka here. And that is our, say, accuracy build for damage dealers. Now just going to talk about imprints and gear sets before we go. So when it comes to imprints on Slayers, there's a few that I like. Beowulf, I really like increasing the damage you're doing to brawlers and bosses. So in the boss fights, gives them some sort of relevance. Hound of Duats is really great for survivability because we're building them for damage, right? So grabbing the barrier just gives us a little bit of survivability, which we might otherwise be lacking. Orcs is really good, especially in like the Fafnir fights, because you're receiving a lot of debuffs, so it gives you a chance just to counterattack and give them a good whack. And this pairs really nice with sets like Avenger for the lifesteal. Kate Sith I really enjoy because it protects you at the start of each round, placing Vanish on yourself, and then just increasing your attack and accuracy, so just making you better at what you're already trying to do. Dagonace has become a very good passive. We're doing a lot of damage, and once they're below 50% HP, which even in the higher stages, with Ramses at level 60 in this kind of build, whilst you might not be able to clear the wave, you can certainly get them to below 50% in most cases. You know, giving an ally a chance to follow up, or even yourself to follow up, is very nice. Afterlife calls, similar to the Dagonace imprint, you might not be able to kill them, but this might help you just get past the line and finish them off. Now, imprints that I currently don't have as well, which are pretty nice. YTGs is good. You inflict 15% more damage and receive 15% less damage to enemies under Blaze or Aether Burn. So again, if you have a Shamash and you're fighting Fafnir, this is amazing on your damage dealers because because Shamash will place the Aether Burn, so you're just doing more damage and taking less from him. So happy days. And Zeus is very strong, especially if you can get multiples of them. Hercules will keep you alive. And yeah, that's kind of it for imprints. So year sets wise, so I don't have any on the account, but just like their namesake, Slayer is good. It just early game set gives you 2 pieces, gives you 15% attack. Wolf is also very good, increasing your attack. It's better at 4-piece though. Avenging set is fantastic. We are built to do damage, and it gives us a bit of survivability, which I really love. Especially if you've got this with a Hound of Duat imprint on your weapon, perhaps even with Thunderbolt. You're doing max HP damage, you're getting a barrier from the imprint, the Hound of Duat, and then you're healing as well. It just gives you a lot of staying power in these fights, so Avenger is a top set. Soul. A lot of these Slayers have damage dealing ults, so increasing that damage is great. Again, let's say you've got 2-piece Slayer, 2-piece Soul, 2-piece Avenger. It's going to be great in keeping you in the fights. Claw and Jaguar are another option here. Jaguar just increasing your crit damage, and Claw increases your crit rate. Just here again, both are 2 pieces and could be good if you were like me and you were only like 5 away and you could get similar stats but in a Claw set rather than just whatever I've thrown on. Again, Claw can see you over the line. Razor's good if you're putting lots of debuffs out, increases the damage you do to them. And again, we're just doing more damage, which is great. And even Spectre can be nice just to help keep you alive if you're struggling in that regard. So the too long didn't read for Slayers. 100% crit cap if you can. Anything above 95% is acceptable, but 100% is where we're going to be. Attack, you want lots of it. Crit damage, you want lots of it. And if you're landing debuffs on characters like a Ramses or a Lady Jacques, try and get above 180, especially for the latter stages of the caverns. That is it from me. That is it for our How to Build series. So thank you very much for watching. Take care and look after yourselves. Work hard. But as always, play harder. I will see you in another video soon. Cheers.